What's going on out there, American truckers? Hope all of y'all are doing well, staying safe, and staying out of trouble. Anyway, we've all seen what's happening in the market. Whether you're a company driver, owner, operator, lease operator, we all see what's happening in the market, especially among the dry box capacity right now in the nation. How far is it going to go? Don't know. Is it crashing or is it a correction? Is it going down to a new norm, or is it dropping out? Be honest with you, nobody knows. Freight Waves is predicting a crash. Freight Waves, they're a news organization and they're owned by U.S. Express. So you got to remember there's some politics in there in what they're saying as well. You know, sometimes they're trying to make people get out, because the more people that get out, that raises the demand, which will raise the price of the freight. But you got to watch the market yourself and use more data than just Freight Waves. You got data out there, you got sonar, you got a bunch of them, and you can just watch the news and see what's going on, with our freight. This war over in the Ukraine doesn't help at all. We import a lot of oh dang, there's a food product we import from over there. It'll come to me in a minute. Grain. We import a lot of grain from the Ukraine. A lot of grain products come from the Ukraine. So all that's shut down right now with everything that's going on over there. So that's hurting us as well. So there's things going on, but capacity's dropping. All right. So in other words, as there's less loads to move, then it costs less to move those loads. When you have more trucks than you have loads, then the price of that freight goes down. How low is it going to go? We don't know. I'll tell you one thing though that kind of frustrates me, and I see it on Facebook a lot, in some of the Facebook trucker groups I'm in. People will automatically start blaming the broker. When they start doing that, to any of us that are educated and have a broader understanding of the industry, we see someone who is either misinformed, uneducated, or both. Okay? Because you got to understand how the market works. Are there brokers out there that make $1,000 on a load? Sure, it happens. But in order for that to happen, the customer has to not know what the market's doing, or that broker has locked in a rate for the quarter or for the year or for an extended period of time. But here's the thing, over the last 12 months or 18 months or so, most companies have not been giving brokers the opportunity to bid on freight for an extended period of time because the market has been so volatile. They literally have been going, a lot of them have been going from load to load to load to load. In other words, this is the freight I have. They'll take that freight and they'll tell whatever brokers they deal with, 10, 20, 30 of them, whatever, hey, I have a load from Houston, Texas to Miami, Florida, give me a rate. And whoever gives them the lowest rate on that load, they give them that load, have them move it. That's the way they've been doing it for a while. And if you don't believe me on that, I can bring a broker on here who will talk about it. Some of y'all know, I wanted to be a broker at one time, and I went through some of the education for that. And a guy I trained and I'm very close to became a broker, so I get a lot of insight in on what's going on in that world through him as well. So no, blaming the broker, that's ignorance. That I know some drivers out there don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. These customers, they know what the market's doing. They know what supply and demand is. They don't put any Yahoo in charge of getting their freight moved. You know what I'm saying? Whoever's moving that freight is educated. The only reason a lot of companies do broker their own freight. They have their own in-house brokers that post it on the board. But sometimes that becomes too much. It becomes too much for them to deal with. So they'll hire a broker or an agent or whatever as a middleman. That's all it is, a middleman. Now, I know in 2019, when the rates fell then, a lot of drivers started blaming the brokers. They ran up there to Washington, D.C., surrounded the White House, sat out there honking their horns for a few days and all that kind of stuff. And for the most part, they were ignored. But the reason they were ignored was because they didn't understand how it works. They're blaming the broker. It wasn't the broker that had the rates low. It was supply and demand that had the rates low. And that's why it was just a few select drivers. It wasn't the whole industry up there. Thank God there are a lot of drivers out here who have some sense and understand how that works. Now, here's the other thing. When you enter in as an owner-operator, it's always best to enter in when the market's low, because that's when you're going to get your truck at the lowest price, your trailer at the lowest price. You're going to lower your operating cost. When you enter into the market when the market's high, your operating cost is high. So if the market doesn't stay there, you either break even or lose. Now, a lot of us, who have been out here for years, we've seen this happen a half dozen times. I've seen it happen a half dozen times in the time I've been in the industry. And yet I still see guys who have been out here 20 years, 25 years, make the same mistakes over and over and over. And I don't know, I guess it's because when they see the market go up, they see that money, they hang on to, hey, this may be it. It may last forever. That's never the case. It never does. It goes up and down. That's what the market does. And you got to look at the current administration we have in office. They're not too beneficial to businesses in general. They got a whole different agenda going on over there. Now, at the present time, this market correction or market drop, whatever you want to call it, seems to be affecting the drive-in drivers the most. Now, in the past, when the market's done what it's doing, or we go through a recession or whatever, it affects dry box drivers and flatbed drivers. It normally doesn't affect reefer drivers as much. They get a drop in rate, but their drop in rate normally isn't near as bad as dry box or flatbed. At the present time, flatbed seems to be doing pretty well. But honestly, I believe that's because flatbed requires work. You got a lot less flatbed drivers out there. You got a lot less people willing to do flatbed. It's a physical job, requires work. You're going to sweat, you're going to get dirty. It's not your regular driving job. So obviously, that keeps by the fact that less people want to do that job, that keeps the demand up, which keeps the rates up over here on the flatbed side. Dry box, everybody, anybody can do dry box. Anybody's got a CDL can do dry box. There's nothing to it. There's really not a whole lot of work involved in it. And it's a cheaper trailer, so you normally get a lot of people flood to dry box. A lot of dropping hooks. A lot of people flood to dry box. So it's real easy in dry box for the demand to change and affect the price drastically because of that. So if you're an owner operator or a company driver and you're hauling, or lease driver and you're hauling refrigerated freight or flatbed freight right now, you're all right. You're all right right now as it stands. Now the dry box drivers, they're gonna have to tighten up. They're gonna have to save their money. Their profit margins are going to be a little lower. And I know that some have already started losing their trucks. That's already started to happen. How far it's going to go, there's no telling. I'm not psychic, so there's no telling. But blaming the broker, that's not the answer. That's ignorance. Another thing you hear a lot is you'll hear people wanting to blame the mega carriers. Think about that. When someone's blaming a mega carrier, most of the time they're just repeating something they heard. Because if they put any thought into it at all, they would realize that that's not even possible. Mega carriers make up less than 5% of the entire industry as a whole. All right, you can go and Google this. I think the last time I looked, there were 37.9 million trucks in America. Hang on. Opti-Auto was about to kick off. I didn't want it to interrupt my video. But anyway, there were 37.9 million trucks operating in the United States. The largest mega carrier in the United States is Swift at 16,000 trucks. That's not even 1% of 37 million. You get what's going on here? I mean, mega carriers are not, they don't affect as much as you think they do. The largest organization in trucking is OOIDA. And I know some of y'all out there are like, what? Go check it out. You know, something that I suspect, and this is my own conspiracy theory when it comes to trucking. I believe a lot of the turmoil that comes about with laws like e-logs and different things like that is backed by OOIDA. And here's why I say that. OOIDA depends on independent contractors, owner-operators, you know, all the above, to pay them dues for a membership with them to help them in Washington, D.C., right? Well, if everything's great, nobody's thinking of getting an OOIDA membership. But when they see something in the news they don't like, they run to OOIDA, go grab a membership, start paying the monthly dues to help them out so they can go up there to Washington and fight this, right? OOIDA is the largest organization out here. They're larger than any mega carrier. By far larger than any mega carrier. Owner-operators. There's more owner-operators than there are mega carriers. By a long shot. By millions. You know, so you can't blame a mega carrier either. And when you blame a mega carrier, you kind of sound a little bit ignorant, you know. It's definitely not that. But drivers, just hang in there. Understand you are in competition with other drivers. Other drivers are your competition. You know, so when you get online and you say, don't haul cheap freight, you know, that would be like, you know, let's say you hired a plumber to come to your house and you're getting bids from 4 or 5 different plumbing companies. And then all the plumbing companies get together and they say, hey, you need your bid to be higher than that. Your bid's too low because your bid's lower than mine. That would make no sense. That's also not how capitalism works. Okay? Lowest bid gets the job. If you're hiring a plumber, if you don't have a preference or a friend that owns a plumbing company, or if there's not some other reason, maybe bad reviews or something like that, most of the time you're going to pay the cheapest bid to do the work. These customers are no different. Okay, these brokers, they got to bid with each other to get that freight. These mega carriers got to do the same thing. They're in competition with each other, and they have to bid lower than their competition in order to get that freight. It's no different than you. You need to be lower than that owner-operator parked next to you. Doesn't mean you got to be $1,000 lower than him, but if you're even $10 lower than him, you're going to get that freight before he does, which is going to keep you working and keep money coming in, keep revenue coming in. That's how that works. That's capitalism. That's how it works. You know, never in my life have I ever seen so much of this don't haul cheap freight. You know, basically one company telling another company what they should or shouldn't do because they got their cost up too high and they can't afford to operate for that. You know, I mean, that's craziness. That's not how it works, man. But anyway, try to hang in there. This may just be a market correction. Everything may come back together. Everything may pick up. So don't give up. Don't think it's the end of the world, drivers. It may not be the end of the world. And freight may increase here in the next couple of months. April traditionally has always been a bad month. So give it a couple months and maybe the capacity will come back up, which will increase the freight rates. Got produce season coming up, so that's going to pull more of your refrigerated trucks over to doing that. Because as you know, refrigerated trucks hurt dry van trucks also, because a refrigerated truck can haul dry product. They don't just haul reefer product. So when reefer product's slow, they haul dry product, which again hurts the capacity, which puts more trucks on the market for the same loads. Well, with produce season kicking in here pretty quick, that's going to move some of those trucks out of that market, which may help as well. Anyway, stay safe. Remember, old Snapper's got your back, man. Love all of y'all. Appreciate y'all for watching the channel. I know there's a lot of things y'all could be doing other than sitting here listening to my midnight rambles, But I appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all stay safe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Old Snapper, I'm out.